Good morning. You've reached our Mandala universes where we gather together every morning at 8 a.m. Pacific time to connect with other people. Good morning, Amy. To connect with ourselves, to check in on our mental, emotional, spiritual weather. Morning, Elaine. And to draw a circle. Mandala is the Sanskrit word for circle, and while we often think of mandalas as very intricate, mirrored patterns in a circle shape, your mandala can be anything you need it to be. A lot of us keep ours in a notebook. Just got this washi tape in Santa Barbara. Isn't that pretty? Can you see the sparkle? Yeah. Thought it was so pretty. Yeah, a lot of us keep ours in notebooks. This is my current notebook. I just noticed this is supposed to be like looking out from a stage at an audience, but when you pull back, it kind of looks like a cupcake. Oh, Miss M says hi. Michelina's here. Good morning. So sweet. Yeah. So that's who we are. That's what we're doing here. My name's Kathy. I lead on Fridays most weeks. Is anybody else dying to hear from Pamela? So curious how she's enjoying her trip. Michelina's starting us off with her check-in. She is feeling grateful and affirmed. If anyone else has a check-in, I have to think. I'm feeling loved. Hi, Za. Miss M says, cupcake stage. Yeah. And Zaz says, good morning. Such comfort to be here with you all this morning. You've been showing up a lot this week. It's been lovely to have you here. I'm going to be up there at the end of the month. So I wonder if we could meet for coffee somewhere. I'd really like that. Amy's checking in, feeling distracted. I gotta write mine down. My brain is like a sieve. So what is today? The 9th? I don't even know. Let's look. Yes. January 9th. And it is Friday. And my check-in was loved. I had got to have dinner last night with one of my besties who lives in San Francisco, but has a place up in Tahoe, and they're there this week, and so they came down to have dinner with us last night. And she is one of those friends that always makes you feel like you're the most amazing person in the world. You know, you always leave feeling built up. Sa says, I'd like that too. Okay. I think, I'm not sure if I have your phone number, but I'll reach out on Instagram if I don't have your phone number. Yeah, Michelina says, hi, Za, so nice to see you these last several days. Amy says, feeling distracted. I think I already read that. And Cheryl's here. Good morning. Good morning, good morning. maybe on, I haven't changed my office calendar yet, and I can't tell you how many times I turn around to look at my office calendar and it still says December. I've got to go get a calendar. I have a new calendar downstairs. Cheryl says, feeling concerned and a bit rushed, but there's sunshine. And Meta's here. Hi. Oh my gosh, I've missed you so much. It's so nice to see her. When I saw that Laura and you were having a little craft Zoom together, I really wanted to hop on, but I was busy already. But it was so nice to see that you were connecting with Laura. It's nice to have you here for mandalas. I love this little circle that we have and the connections. Meta says, I've missed being here, but we'll join in more again now. That would be lovely. All right. Let's do some grounding. If anybody has additional check-ins, you can definitely throw those into the chat, but I'm going to pause from reading the chat for a while and just let us take a moment for some space to pause and ground ourselves. So I do have a reading. Amy's time on the beach earlier this week reminded me of a poem I had read, so I went and found that poem. So I'll read that when we're done. I'm gonna move over and sit on the ground. I feel like I need to be like really grounded. So let's see, can I set you here? Oh, no, that's not gonna work. I'll have to put you on the floor with me. Okay. All right, so if you can find a space on the ground, that would be amazing. If not, wherever you are, I invite you to settle in and really notice what's touching the ground. I'm a long ways from earth. I'm on the second floor. I've got carpet and subfloor, joists, a whole floor underneath this, with flooring and subfloor and joists and foundation and then finally some dirt. But we can still use a solid surface underneath us to connect. And I'll invite you to just take all the stuff that's going on up here. And there's a lot, right? There's been a lot this week. Take, like, maybe consciously, physically touch your head and just hold it and see if you can kind of stop the swirling. Even that feels tremendously grounding. Just to hold my own head. And then I'll invite you to move your hands down to your neck and take this pose with thumbs together under your chin and actually it's a weird feeling, but I want you to lift the weight of your head with your hands and just hold it. And then as you release, I want you to envision all of the energy coming down, 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 all the way down past your legs until it is sitting with you on that solid surface, and it's held there by magnetic force. It can't crawl back up. And just breathe into that space for a couple deep breaths. As you're doing that, you might notice that you're leaning forward, chin is jutting out. I invite you to straighten up and bring your shoulders over your hips, bring your crown of your head up high. If you need to physically push your chin back in, shoulders are back and low. Just enjoy that empty space in your head for a minute. Remember those thoughts, those anxieties, those to-do lists, they're held beneath you. They don't have permission to come back up yet. I think that oftentimes we try to segment our brains. These are the things these are the things that are bothering me, that tend to creep in, and I keep pushing them back because over here is my job and the people that I care for, and I have things to get done over here, and I have all this whirling mess, and we try and separate them, when in fact they're all a part of our present moment. I'm going to read the poem now. It's titled Until I Thought of Myself as the Sea. I used to separate good days from bad until I thought of myself as an ocean. I used to split times I felt strong from when I felt weak until I imagined myself as the sea, calm and rocky, wild and soft, still and powerful, and vast and more than any one thing. In the ocean, it's hard to divorce one mood from another, one wave from the next. Now, on my worst days, I think of how good life is, too, how I can still greet joy while swimming through grief, how fragile strength feels, how I'm not any one thing in any one moment on any one day. I'm all of it, and all of it is me. And then take one more deep breath. I invite you to think of the notion of welcoming all that we moved, all that energy that we moved out for a moment. I invite you to welcome it back as a gift, because it is what makes you who you are. So you might picture it flipping a switch, turning a light on, releasing the magnet, whatever feels right to you. And as it comes back up, I hope that you feel integrated and whole, complete. Maybe a little less segmented and a little more calm. All right, let's draw. I can reread that poem if anyone wants words. Wow, getting up is hard. I'm happy to reread that. I will post it also. Gosh, that was good for me. Miss M says, lovely to have you more often, Za and Meta. says, thanks, Miss Sam. Cheryl says, love all the color in your office. Thank you. I do too. This is the only room in my house that's like really just like any color's okay. And I have big plans for transforming the white walls here this year. We've been in this house for 2 years and 3 months ish, and I've been really afraid to touch the walls. But I'm feeling like this is the year. And Deb popped in to say good morning, checking in hurried, but came in to circle into a screeching, lovely stop. Oh, I'm so glad. All right. I had a interesting interaction and observation this week. One of my kiddos, my kids are all adults, 25, 29, and 31. And I talk to them very regularly. Some days I feel like I can't get anything done because my kids won't stop calling me. And then I also have an extra 29-year-old son who calls me mom and calls me just as often as the rest of them. So some days it's a lot, and I wouldn't change it for anything. It's perfect. But one of them called me earlier this week, maybe it was over the weekend, having learned something about one of the other ones that really bothered them. And they weren't calling they weren't like tattling. They were just like, do you know this about this person? And I was like, no, I actually, no, sure didn't. And they were like, what do we do? And what do we do? Or what should I do? Or what? And it was not a fun thing to learn about one of my adult people. I never know what to call them. They're not children. Adult children, that's an oxymoron. Never know what to call them. The people I gave birth to and one that I wish I had given birth to. Anyways, I felt completely calm and removed from the emotions that the one was having about the other one. And I said, we don't do anything. And they were like, but, and I was like, you are all adults. If this makes you uncomfortable and you want to reach out, you are more than welcome to discuss this with your sibling. I do not need to be involved. I appreciate your concern. I may even share some of your concern over this revelation. And the ball's in your court, kiddo. And that I just felt so good. Like because that's a hard thing. That's a hard place to get to as a parent of, adult people who, are making their own choices and often not choices that you would make. Yeah, it was a very interesting conversation. And they kept saying, but, and I was like, yeah, if it's really bothering you, then I encourage you to talk to them. They didn't like that. They didn't like that. Let's see. Michelina says, OMG, let's touch those walls. Feng Shui color stencils. I'm game to come play. Michelina, That would be amazing. Uh, I have a guest room. You could come over and yeah, let's do it. I have been trying to get my Mandala sisters to come visit me here, and Deb and Pamela both spent the night before the retreat last year, and that was amazing. I love my little town, and I love where I live, and I love sharing it with people. And Michelina, you're painting it, because painting is like my least favorite household responsibility, which is also part of the reason why the walls are white, because I I'm not a good painter. Asia is a terrible painter, so he is not allowed to help. But then I get resentful that he's not allowed to help. I mean, it's not even an option, because when Asia paints, there are massive globby drips running down the wall, and it's a disaster. But then I resent him for not being able to contribute. Yeah, and I'm a bad painter. I get paint on the ceilings. I could tape off the whole world and still somehow get paint in places it didn't belong. Anyways, I feel really accomplished after that conversation. Like, really proud of where I've landed as a parent. It was a really good feeling. And the other great thing is I only spent one night in bed before I fell asleep worrying about the new revelation that I had about this person. And then I've let it go. I was like, you know what? It's because I love my kids. I want them to be healthy, happy, well-adjusted individuals. Um, so just as you would maybe carry concern for anyone in your life that maybe was doing something that wasn't maybe the healthiest thing in the world. I did spend a little bit of time kind of perseverating on that. Is that the perseverating, I think. And then I'm over it. I'm done worrying about it. Miss Feather, Claudia is here and says, good morning, Kathy and everyone. Michelina says, good for you. Healthy detachment is everything for inner peace. And Cheryl says, maybe that's what's meant by detach with love. Miss M says, you go, mama. And Jan says, letting go. And Michelina says, I'm 100% serious. I am too. Let's pick dates. Although, if you're going to drive, this time of year is kind of sketchy, because the pass can just get closed. So we can talk. We'll do that. That would be amazing. What I'm envisioning, Michelina, is I want to do scallops, like bigger, this size scallop. That looks way too big, but all the way around, and every scallop is like a different color. That's where I want to start, at least. And I've thought about it, but that requires math, because I want the scallops. You know what it entails. But maybe, and stripes would be amazing on maybe one of the walls. I don't know, but it would be really fun. Miss Sim says, sounds fun, Michelina. Oh my goodness, it's 8:25. So if you have words that are coming to you from your mandala, mine is going to be something about separation and flow, which feels counter to the poem that I read, but appropriate to the story I told about my kids. Deb says, Claudia, I had a wonderful flashback of the most beautiful owl question mark feather that you showed us several months ago. I see it in my circle today. And Cheryl says, paint party at Kathy's. Yes. I have a feather. I don't think I've ever shown this. I'll be right back. I found a feather a while back. It's probably been a year now, but I have saved it ever since then because it's the most beautiful feather I've ever seen in my life. Look at that. Like, what is that from? Oh my gosh, it's magical. It's so soft and so flowy and fluttery. It's like a feather duster. I have no idea what kind of bird this came from, but it is so treasured. I love it so much. I love how it quivers. It's my feather. I have other feathers, but that's my favorite one. The Sim says, how lovely, soft, and flowy. Yeah. Micheline says, I'm whole in all areas. And is that what inspired your retreat gifts? Not directly, but who doesn't love a feather? Meta says, wow, it's a stunning feather. And Claudia says, Deb, I wonder which one that was. Oh, Miss M says, do read again. Sorry, I missed that. I will read it again before we go. Okay, I gotta move the feather. All right, here we go. Until I thought of myself as the sea. I used to separate good days from bad until I thought of myself as an ocean. I used to split times I felt strong from when I felt weak until I imagined myself as the sea, calm and rocky, wild and soft, still and powerful and vast, and more than any one thing. In the ocean, it's hard to divorce one mood from another, one wave from the next. Now, on my worst days, I think of how good life is too, how I can still greet joy while swimming through grief, how fragile strength feels, how I'm not any one thing in any one moment on any one day. I'm all of it, and all of it is me. And that is by Hannah Rosenberg. She is another poet that got famous on Instagram and finally published a book. And I bought it. All right, friends. I love our mornings together so much. Now I have to go have meetings. That's okay though, because it's a part of who I am. It's part of what I do. One whole person. Sam says, all is me. Zah says, thank you. Amy says, I am whole. And Michelina says, thank you. And Jan says, thank you. All right, friends, I love you. Mwah. Have a wonderful Friday.